Voiceless, till earth and heaven with the heart of liberty. Let earth rise high as the heavens. Let it resound out of the Peace, peace, black people, peace, peace. Welcome to Yemima's World, the Jelly Moose's Cafe. I am your hostess, Yemima. It is good to be black in the land of the living once again. You were listening to the beautiful Andrea Day. I'll get it right in a second. Andrea Day singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing" at the Super Bowl, and I don't remember which one. I think it was this year's Super Bowl. Um, yeah, that national anthem. For those of you who don't know, "Lift Every Voice and Sing" predates the American national anthem by about 50 years, I believe. So yeah, this was actually the first national anthem. So I ran across some information, and in the climate that we are in right now, we have what, a week before election, and every election, we know that the black vote is always catered to. They come out in droves, promising black people everything, you know, that they could think of to get our votes. And so I ran across this information. I wanted to come on and share it with you because when we think about the black vote in the United States, in this country, we always go back to 1964 with the Civil Rights Voting Bill, Civil Rights Act voting bill. We know that black men got the right to vote during Reconstruction. We know that there were all kinds of things that were thrown in, taking that right from them. And we know that 1964, pretty much black men and women got that right to vote. But we had the right to vote um, long time, almost 100 years, 200 years before the Civil Rights Act. Now I'm going to explain to you because it was a little bit different than what we have now. It goes kind of back to our black communities and what we had in our communities. All right, so it was called Negro Election Day. Negro Election Day, or Negroes Hallow Day, was a festival that began during 1741 in several towns of New England as part of the local election of the black representative of that community. The festival incorporated aspects of West African culture and ritualistic celebrations such as traditional dancing, African feasting, and parades. The election process itself was unclear in its methods and was often conducted vocally or by debate rather than by the ballot system used by the white voters. Although it is known that it has been determined by a contest of strength or speed, African Americans during the pre revolutionary America had not gained the vote and did not do so until the 15th Amendment was ratified in 1870. Therefore, the Election Day festivals or festivities held by their white counterparts did not appeal to the slave population due to the fact that they could not themselves vote. In Puritan New England, the slave owners and freemen organized for the black communities to vote for an official that would act as an intermediary in white and black relations. As part of this, they granted their slaves one day off to enjoy the festivities and to rejoice. So even back then, election day was a day off. This ran alongside the main white elections. In some cases, this official proved worthy and, though not recognized federally, acted as a reputable liaison In other cases, however, this official was named the king or governor and served more as a parody of the newly elected white leader. After the Civil War, the festival had lost its zeal among the Black communities for reasons unknown, possibly spurred by the ratification of the 15th Amendment in 1870. Now, this was on Wikipedia, but I ran across an article that is in a, and I don't know if this is a newspaper or a magazine, but it's from modern Ghana. And it is an interview with a woman named Doreen Wade. And I'm going to read you the interview, so I'll give you some more information about this. So, first recorded in 1741, Negro Election Day is an annual celebration with deep roots in which enslaved and free African Americans on the U.S. shore elected a black king or black governor who mediated politically with the colonial government and advocated for the abolition of slavery. Black and white New Englanders alike attended the holiday wearing their finest clothes, partaking of election cake and dancing. The occasion is an important testament to the vibrant culture of the African descent maintained in New England in spite of widespread oppression. Aspects of West African culture and ceremonial festivities, including traditional dancing, African feasts, and parades, are included in the festival. On July 22nd, 2022, Negro Election Day was enacted into law as a Massachusetts state holiday. In an interview with the AfricanDream.net, Doreen Wade discusses the significance of this celebration. So, this is her interview. When I began my research on Negro Election Day, I began to expose a story hidden behind the name Black Picnic, a name that in 1960s began burying the title Negro Election Day further and further into the darkness. But in unmasking Negro Election Day, I came upon an enslaved African from Ghana that was called Prince Pompey. He was documented as a man of royal blood. The prince, according to Wade, was captured during the slave trade and sold to Daniel Mansfield of Lynn, Massachusetts. Black King Pompey and other Africans of royal blood used their heritage to establish the first democratic system. 35 years before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, it became the first democratic system in the 13 colonies. Back in 1740, and the first black voting system in the United States. He used the title Negro because West Africa, where those enslaved were taken from, was at that time called Negro land. The name Negro Election Day was in honor of that land. They held a 2-week election process beginning with debating, then to an annual 1-day voter election held on the same day as the white election day. She explained that the winner earned the title of king or governor, and that was how Pompey became Black King. The winner paraded through town on a horse with aides on each side. Others marched while playing the fifes, fiddles, drums, and horns. After the parade, people gathered on 2 acres of land later purchased in 1758 by Black King Pompey for political activities, outdoor feasts, socializing, and competed in athletic contests, dancing, and drinking. Black King Pompey would later serve as a mediator and liaison between the slave, elected colonial leaders, and white slave owners. They held court trials and deliberated punishment for non law abiding slaves in their communities. There was a series of name changes. Negro Election Day history is a powerful story of how slaves of royal blood turned their tragedy into a positive triumph, Wade said. Following its first celebration, Negro Election Day grew within the state of Massachusetts and it became hosted in the capital city, Boston, on the historic Boston Common. Even though legislation was made to deny Blacks from meeting on the Boston Common at that time. However, it was also held in other locations like Danvers, Marblehead, Lynn, and Salem, where it is today. Later, the celebration would go through a series of name changes based on the end of slavery and the right to vote. With its new location in Salem, Massachusetts, and the end of slavery allowing blacks to obtain the right to vote in mainstream elections, Negro Election Day began to become masked, murmured Wade with a hint of displeasure in her interview with Oral Ofori. She narrated that once the Negro Election Day coronation left Lynn and moved to Salem Willows, the first name change began. It became Emancipation Day. Articles were written about women of the community, organized the celebration, and began calling it Maid's Picnic to honor workers. With the name picnic, its legacy value diminished and lost what it represented. When churches in Lynn, Medford, Chelsea, Cambridge, and Boston hosted the celebration, they continued using picnic but called it Sunday picnic and moved it to Sunday, not Saturday. During World War II, celebrating 200 years of Negro Election Day, another name change was crafted: Colored People's Picnic, moving it back to Saturday to allow factory and defense plant workers to attend with their families and descendants. Then the late 1960s came with the civil rights movement and awareness of Black power, where it got renamed to Black Picnic Day, merging Black pride and honor, however, leaving out its original Black achievements, according to Wade. A rebirth through Salem United Incorporated. From Wade's point of view, people are fighting to maintain the name Black Picnic because political and community leaders are using the historical name Negro as a type of negative connotation. No one wants to be reminded of the horrors of slavery, despite being a crucial part of Black history. Historically, our people are saying that the word Negro was derived from the white man, that it was used as a negative and demeaning word for Black people. The word Negro became a stereotype and it caused us to lose a valuable image of a Black developed business. However, long before whites used the word, it was part of our culture's heritage. I will not be a part of whitewashing our history, culture, or legacy in order to neutralize the stereotypes. We must reclaim them. I am reappropriating the symbols of our oppressors, added Wade. She and other women decided on the need to initiate a rebirth of the celebration's original name through her Salem United Incorporated. Their focus has centered on preserving cultural history, protect ethnic traditions through community engagement and social awareness. Wade holds the opinion that there is now a return of Black voter suppression, requiring a rebirth of the historic 1741 Negro Election Day. Salem United Incorporated was founded in 2015 in Salem, a historic coastal city in Essex County, Massachusetts, United States, but registered as a 501c3 charitable organization in 2020. Since the establishment, it has led a movement in the city that criticizes the inequality within the United States voting system as a whole. According to Doreen Wade, we call ourselves Salem United to show our unity as a people that travel from Massachusetts and beyond to attend an annual event centered around the 284 years of Negro Election Days celebration, said Wade. I also built an exhibit around this history, and my goal is to travel to Ghana and follow the path of Prince Pompey to America, bringing back that story to its home. My exhibit, back to its home, my exhibit. But often this exhibit is denied into museums and halls. It is ignored in the school system, but I find ways to educate the students. I am often degraded, regardless of the accuracy of the documentation, she said. She claims she's also accused of peddling false information because people refuse to believe or have her teach the intelligence of the African mind and the magnitude of what these men accomplish. This is not just my history, this is our history. And I make a plea to you to support my work, this history, and this annual event. Ghana Africans who gave their lives to protect their own and the American born African Americans who came after them deserve this honor and more, she concluded. So this is very, very interesting that what in 1741 they had Africans that were here in the Americas, some in bondage, some free, but they were voting within their own communities, voting basically for a mayor within the slave community or within the free Black community that would be a liaison. And that's what these people do. They're kind of our liaison for us when we want bills to pass. They take our information and they take it to the House and they take it to the Senate, and they are our, uh, intermediary to the federal government. So I just find it, and knowing that the first, one of the two first one came from Ghana, and for those of you who don't know, Queen Mother Harriet Tubman, uh, she came from the Gold Coast. Her grandmother Modesty was from Ghana, from the Gold Coast. It was called that at that time, and so actually had we actually established really the first democratic voting system in the United States in 1741. Just like we established Memorial Day, um, it's so many things that we've done in this country, and we need to know our history so that we don't look back and always see that when our kids look back, they see Black people, and the first thing they think of is slaves. And when we think of voting rights, we don't go back any further than the 1964 Voting Rights Act. We don't go back any further than that to see that we did have the right to vote. We had the right to vote during Reconstruction. Our Black men were voting then, but we don't go back that far. We don't think about the fact that we had a lot of Black men that were serving in politics and in office and in high positions. We had a lot of Black men serving in office, and so when we see Black men in office and politics, for some reason we think, oh wow, the first. No, no, they're not the first. We can go back 200 years, and according to this, damn near 300. That we were doing this thing, and we were policing our own communities, and putting people in place that could fight for us in our own communities. Even within bondage, we still had a sense of coming together as a community. So I just wanted to bring that again. We are in the fight of our lives right now with this election that's coming up. um, I don't know if any of you heard what happened at Madison Square Garden at the Nazi rally, where the Republicans held a Nazi rally. Yeah, that's what it was. And I mean, it was, I think what scares me the most is that it's just so many people in this country that still um, would prefer that Black people were in chains back in slavery, and that brown people would just go back to wherever they came from, and that this was just a white country, although it's never, ever, 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 ever been a white country, because Black people were here first. We were here when they came and invaded. So it's never been a white country. I don't know why they seem to think it is. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this information. And until next time, you know the drill. Love yourself, love each other, give yourself some grace, give each other some grace, honor your ancestors. They will honor you. We are our ancestors. Stay cool, stay warm wherever you are. Vote, people, please vote. Our ancestors are looking at us, and if they could have voted during the Civil War, um, they would have, and they would have voted for their freedom. And if you're not voting for our freedom, if you're one of these people that are saying, well, don't vote, we Black people need to keep their vote until they get tangibles. And I believe that we should get tangibles for our vote, but this election is not the time for that. Maybe the next one, but this one, it's too important for us to sit home and wait on tangibles. It's been 200 and something years, and we still waiting on tangibles. This election ain't the time for that. It's not. I'm not saying don't ask for things, but we need to make sure that we're asking the right person for those things, because one of them ain't gonna give you squat. All right, until next time, love you, fam. Peace.